Well, we've caught up in previous episodes with Merv Dyer, the Executive Chairman of the Freemasons Victoria Task Force, and he's back with us again today. Merv, always good to see you.
Thanks, Wes, it's my pleasure.
How does the task force become involved with a project?
It's a three-tiered individual art task force where we have lodge representatives, we have district representatives, and we have the executive of the task force. And we have various jobs. And if a lodge decides that it's got a project on, just like the Lodge of Lilydale, they now have for 23 or 24 years, every 3 months gone to the Anglicare homes in Lilydale and done garden maintenance. And if they find that they're a little bit short of labour, which they haven't so far, but it's been suggested to them that we do have resources for them. But I think that's something that deserves a little bit of credit, that for 23 years they have been doing this.
Some good local grassroots sort of support.
Grassroots community service.
Now, how many projects would the task force be involved with across a year?
Across a year, the executive itself, most probably 8 or 10, and they are namely the Variety Club, Christmas Function, Uncle Bob's, and also one of the most important jobs that we do is assist the Special Olympics. But they have about every 3 to 6 months they have a serious meeting for track and field, and we normally assign that to the very good officers of the Northern District, and they do a fantastic job. They're getting between 15 to 20 guys there per day over a weekend. The swimming sports are assigned to a lodge called Concentration, who they are very, very good, and they support that with 20 people on the days that they're required. And the jobs that they do is judging, marshalling, and just generally helping out to make the event a success.
Lodge of Concentration, I think well named for that particular task. And a good way for people to be involved, of course. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, especially because we bring our wives along. And that really makes the day. And, you know, you're sort of out doing Freemasonry thing and you've got your wife by your side helping out and enjoying it too.
Now, some great projects that the task force has contributed to over the years, and maybe you can just tell us a little more about Tools for Timor, for example.
Working Tools for East Timor, yes. That was that actually came out of when the Panch Hospital was sold and the nursing home was about to be demolished, but inside the nursing home there were still beds and curtains, toilets, urinals, all that sort of physical stuff. And Father Michael Lynch of the Salesian Brothers, he approached John King, and John got the bee in his bonnet that we're going to help him. So we went there on one day and we cleaned the place out and we sent it all across to East Timor.
And that began a project of gathering equipment from members of Freemasons Victoria.
From there, we found out that when the Indonesians left East Timor, there wasn't very many hand tools or anything like that left behind. At the TAFE College equivalent in Comoro, for 150 students in the carpentry section, they had 3 saws, one hammer and 2 mallets.
So how many tools did Freemasons Victoria manage to gather and send over?
We collected through the Bunnings organisation and at lodges, and associated with the Knights of the Southern Cross, we collected through Catholic churches. We actually, and through the good graces of Goodyear, who kept the factory vacant for us for basically 9 months so we could use it for 3 months, we sent over 3 20-foot containers containing hand tools. And the factory at Bayswater was so great because they allowed us to use their forklift with drivers and everything else. So it really was a fantastic project that really culminated in really making a difference to a community.
That's a fantastic effort and a great partnership by the sound of it between Freemasons Victoria and the Salesian Brothers, the Catholic Church.
And the Knights of the Southern Cross, yep.
Now, what about the ring pools initiative? What's that all about?
When we started collecting them, we piggybacked on a Rotary Club initiative where the University of Chiang Mai in Thailand was making aluminium prosthesis for farmers who'd stepped on landmines. And we were just collecting the money, collecting the ring pools, selling them and sending them over the money. About four years ago, we received news from the university. The demand for the limbs had now dropped off and they no longer required our assistance. So having a setup or a collection and distribution organisation already in place, we decided that we will continue collecting the ring pools. And then we nominated the Heart Kids Foundation of Victoria as the recipient. And 2 years collection was basically $5,000, which we donated to the Heart Kids Foundation for their funeral fund, because families who lose a child with heart disease spend a lot of time at the hospital and they spend a lot of time not at work.
And the task force gets the Freemasons of Victoria behind these initiatives.
Yes, one very big impact that we have had here in Victoria is that through our homes and various other geriatric nursing homes, about 5 years ago the state government changed the legislation about beds. You're not allowed to have sides on beds, you're not allowed to tie people to beds. So anybody that's liable to fall out of bed, they had to have a bed that went to within 10 inches of the ground. Well, that was all right because they bought new beds and they got rid of the old pneumatic and cast iron beds and everything else. But then after a couple of years, the state government changed its mind again. Now they found that people were still falling out of bed, but 10 inches was too high. They were still breaking hips and things. So they brought that measurement down to 4 inches. So all of a sudden, the task force had something like 200 electric beds, which were perfectly good electric nursing hospital beds. And also when we were picking these beds up, didn't know what we were going to do with them when we got them, but we never say no. We noticed that there were ambulant aids in these storage rooms and even 1 dozen bedpans. And then we heard that the Rotary Club had just built a hospital in Wewak, Papua New Guinea, and they didn't have any hospital equipment to put in it. So we gave them half and totally filled that hospital up for them with all their equipment. I was contacted by one of our Freemasons from Clunes, who they had a local doctor that was looking for a couple of hospital beds to set up just an overnight observation sort of ward. So I've said, well, come down and have a look. And she's come down and had a look. And her jaw dropped when she saw what we had, and she said, how much of this can I have? I said, well, what are you going to do with it? Oh, we've got hospitals back in India that really need this equipment. So I said, well, if you can ship it over, you can have everything. And they were back to me within a week. We received a newsletter from the Archdiocese in Northern India, thanking the Freemasons for their donation and for their own internal workings or a law of the Indian government. They had to put a value on it, and they valued this at $80,000.
Fantastic effort. Merv, thanks for being with us today and telling us about the Freemasons Victoria Task Force.
Thanks, Wes.